Good afternoon and welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. We got Justin Wells. We got Coach Dub. Thank you for joining us. It is our regular Tuesday afternoon recruiting discussion. But to get all things Texas football, bye week, game week, bowl week, whatever it is, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And of course, head to InsideTexas.com, sign up. You can get some of the latest recruiting scoop. We're going to have a lot of great stuff from all over the country this week. And but we do have to start with some news that we broke last night. Five-star Texas commit Jonah Williams did suffer a season-ending injury. And funnily enough, Justin, it was on a pick six. Kind of indicates what he's doing. He's been having a great senior year, but looks like it's unfortunately coming to an end.
It's unfortunate. It really is because they've been having a good year. I think Galveston Ball and Lufkin are 1-2 in that district, and they still have a game to play each other. And so I think they were really, really anticipating that to sort of maybe decide the district championship. So you absolutely hate it for Jonah and those guys for his teammates at Galveston Ball. On the other hand, you said he's had a great year. I think that's an understatement. I think he's had a freaking five-star year. Like, I swear, every Friday night he did something no one else did in the state. Every night he did something different. And anytime you can head top a kid with a pick and then turn around and point at your future head coach, dude is big time. Dude is big time. And so it sucks, but trust me, it's one of those things where it will be healed cleanly and purely within 5 to 6 weeks. He'll be fine. He'll be ready in January. I've had a few people ask me, would it affect baseball? I'm not sure he's jumping into baseball in the spring first. I have a feeling Sark's going to want to get his hands on him in that first semester at Texas in football. But that's something that we're also going to be watching come January because I think that's going to be an interesting thing, how he starts his career in Austin.
Yeah, and there are only so many roster spots on a baseball team, both in non-conference play and in the SEC. I think you got to get to 35, I think, if I remember right. So a lot to work with there for Jim Schlossnagle and Coach. You know that Steve Sarkisian's going to want to get Jonah Williams into the rotation and into action. Maybe not necessarily for like first string safety play, but man, that's someone you can use on special teams in a variety of ways next year.
Yeah, he's an absolute ball player. I think, especially enrolling early, you want to get him in the spring, get him acclimated to football. So many times you see kids come in early and they play their second sport and they kind of get behind in football, right? But a guy with his kind of talent, man, who can play both sides of the ball, like you want to get him acclimated as fast as possible with the football team and getting him, familiarized with workouts and everything else so he can be ready come fall.
Jonah, looking at it right now on his on-3 ranking, I think he is the top-ranked prospect in Texas 2025 class, number 9 overall, number 1 safety basically across the board except for on Rivals, 5-star by every recruiting service. So he's someone who's special. I was looking up his stats a little bit last night, and he's got 10 or so touchdowns already, both running and passing the football. Both running and receiving, and then he's been making plays in the secondary. So
he's also got pick sixes and he's returned kickoffs. So he may have returned a punt too. I'm not sure.
Got someone real special there in Jonah Williams, and hope for the best for his recovery. We feel like it'll go pretty swimmingly, but we hope for the best, and can't wait to see him in Burnt Orange in a couple of weeks. So got to go through some other stuff and make sure you get your questions in. This is a good show heading into the bye week for a lot of different questions. Justin, the other guy in the thumbnail, if anybody's joining us, they saw Jonah Williams, they saw Javian Hilson. He is a edge rusher from Cocoa, Florida, visited Texas for the Georgia game, turned around, visited Texas A&M for the Aggies win over LSU. This was one we thought Texas, and we still believe Texas has a lot of momentum in. But what's the latest coming from Hilson and that company?
Yeah, so Hilson was Hilson was one we were kind of waiting for on that Texas Georgia game. I think there were people inside the program that thought he could pull the trigger that weekend, and so that was kind of That was kind of the sense. But Hilson decided he had been talking to Texas A&M for the longest. He just never really engaged with him a lot. And then he decides to take that trip to College Station for the LSU game, and he absolutely loved it. And A&M is squarely in this recruitment now. I would say it's probably a 50-50 battle at this point. He set an official visit for Texas A&M in late November for the weekend of the Texas game. And so that right there could be a very big tell on Javian Hilson lands. If you look at both classes, A&M needs him a lot more than Texas does, but Texas still really wants this kid. They think he would be a great compliment to Lance Jackson and Smith the Rogbo. But look, it's recruiting. It's the final 5.5 weeks until National Signing Day. This is when it gets a little crazy. This is when stuff starts to kind of go all over the place. And now Javian Hilson and Texas A&M are trying to be an item. And I think the Horns are just going to have to keep pushing, stay the course, and maybe have a nice little showing when they show up in College Station.
Javian Hilson was committed to Florida State. And just to kind of go through, see what's going on in Tallahassee. Obviously, they're 1-7, disaster going on there for the Seminoles. I was just trying to see if there were any more guys Texas might be interested in from that class. And there's one big notable one, and that's Kevin Wynn. Justin, it's at Greene County in Greensboro, Georgia.
Right.
He is their second highest rated commit. They're trying like heck to hang on to Solomon Thomas, a 5-star offensive lineman. But does Texas? How do you think Texas might handle trying to get yet another Seminole to make a switch?
They want Kevin Wynn, and the novice fan can watch Kevin Wynn's huddle and go, "Oh, that's a take." There's some Puna Ford in that kid. This dude is mean. He gets low. He's a plugger, man. He's a guy you want. The thing with Kevin Wynn is I think Texas has been hot and cold on him for it seems like this year. Once he did commit to FSU, Texas stayed in the mix. They kept talking to him, bringing him in for a visit, came in for an official in June. He hadn't been back since, and I think that's a big sign. And so I know heading into November, they want to get these defensive linemen lined up. They want to get these guys on campus. It's imperative. If Texas wants Kevin Wynn, they've got to get him back to Austin. Right now, USC, it seems like the prohibitive favorite right now, but I think USC kind of has that with a lot of kids, especially on the defensive side. They've recruited really well on defense in this cycle. It's been different in the Lincoln Riley regime, actually. But they're going to stay on him because, look, Texas needs at least 2 more defensive tackles. At least 2 more. They'd like 3, but I think they'd be happy with 2 more to join Josiah Sharma and Myron Charles, 2 absolute great floor guys for your class. Kevin Wynn is a take. You want to go get this guy. Texas is going to push and push until signing day to try to get him back on campus. But right now it feels like USC is the leader. Georgia is pushing. And they've already got 3 defensive linemen. I don't know how many they're going to take in this class. They're pushing for him. They're pushing for Justice Terry. And they're pushing for Joseph Mbachu, who actually dropped a list 2 weeks ago that didn't include Georgia. And so it's strange how all these defensive linemen, how these recruitments are going. But at the end of the day, Kevin Wynn is another FSU kid that Texas would love to flip. They're trying to play catch up a little bit in this one right now. He really enjoyed his trip to USC. Clemson is still in the mix, and so Texas is just going to keep pushing. Got to get him on campus in November, gentlemen. They got 2 chances when Kentucky and Florida come to town.
And I think that's really key. When is signing day? It's the first week of December 4th through 6th. They did that before the conference championship weeks, and all the good coaches are like, "Oh, you're just making us more busy." And then 100 other teams are just like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
So it is champagne problems. But Coach, when you think about a team that's cratering, smoldering, going down like Chief Osceola's spear, how does a program kind of get in on the action of that? Like, go to the guys committed to a 1-7 program and say something like, "Hey guys, grass may be greener."
Yeah, definitely. And look, just like everybody else, college staffs are like, "Look, it's a garage sale, it's a fire sale over there. Let's go see what we want to go take, right? What guys do we have relationships with, and what do we need?" And you try to go over there and cherry pick some of the top guys and like, do you really want to be in a program that's 1-7. Don't look like it's going to get any better for next year. We're over here building something. We got proof in the pudding on the field. Look at our record. Look what we're doing. This is how we're going to use you. And you got guys you can say, hey, defensive lineman, look how we rotate here at Texas, right? All of our guys getting in and shine. Every week, a new defensive lineman is showing up and being, maybe standing out in the game, right? So you can talk about that, and every program is probably going to do the exact same thing. But you try to go over there and try to take everything they got, right? Especially if it's a fit. And you don't feel sorry about it either. It's like, look, it is what it is. Recruiting, there's no friends in this, right? So everybody's trying to win. Everybody's trying to keep their job and win championships. So you go over there and take whatever you can take.
They'd love a hat trick from FSU guys. It'd be a hat trick.
Hat trick. I like that.
I just noticed something. It's kind of a random tidbit. The quarterback at Mandarin High School, where Jamie French is from, he's committed to FSU. So I just kind of noticed, like, oh, he's got a college level quarterback throwing to him. That helps. Just random tidbit I kind of wanted to throw in there. Mike Norvell's
no, Joe's not saying that Texas is pursuing Jamie French's quarterback. There's no backhanded intel on that one, so we don't need to start something on Twitter that Joe Cook says Texas is going for another quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean, Tramel Jones is his name, and living rent free in UT, he's got a good point on that one. But one other thing that we got to get to, and that is the best place to get tickets. That is via the Game Time app. Not only can you get, hey, I've been checking out College Station and Kyle Field for November 30th, and Game Time's got the best prices. You can see the all-in price on getting into Kyle Field on November 30th. But, man, it is going to be – there will be a lot of different stories and a lot of different people telling tales about some of the numbers they saw on Game Time. But the numbers they find on Game Time will be the lowest in the market. Not only that, college basketball is coming around the corner. Talking to Rodney Terry tomorrow. I think the Horns season opener is Monday against Ohio State in Vegas. But if you want to go to Vegas, you want to go to the Moody Center, if you want to go to a Cowboys game for some reason, if you want to get tickets to the SEC championship in Atlanta, wherever Texas may end up playing in the postseason, you got to head to Game Time. You can see the all-in price, and you can always see seat views. I made sure to get some tickets taken care of on Game Time not too long ago. So make sure you go there. Make sure you also download the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. You can use the code ON3 and get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account. Redeem the code ON3, ON3. Get $20 off because, as y'all know, it is Game Time. Oh, and shows what I know about Florida State recruiting right there. Tramel Jones been out for the season. So it's a positive about Jamie French to think that he is making all those plays without maybe his starting quarterback. So positive there. Fellas, did y'all see some of the comments from Steve Sarkisian? I got to ask him about recruiting in an 85-man world versus recruiting in a 105-man world. Question basically was, how do you approach it? The way the House case works is the conferences, the judge, and the plaintiffs have had a preliminary agreement that is not going to be finalized until April. So for the 2025 class, there may not be much of an effect on, okay, we have to recruit for, a 105-man roster. But Charlie, it seems like in 2026, you will see teams start to expand their board, knowing that they got to get that roster up to 20 more people.
Yeah, you'll see a bunch of those guys that may not be offer takes right now. They may be takes in the future, or guys that they've been evaluating for a while. And you kind of see it every year now. You don't offer many preferred walk-on guys, but you might see a guy like, say, a Michael Taft in 2026, who you're evaluating, who's a really good player. Let me go ahead and take a chance on this kid and give him a scholarship offer because you have numbers, and it worked out for Michael Taft. I'm not saying everybody's MVP over there, but you'll have that and going into the future. So you'll see boards kind of change and become a lot larger, more takes. So I like it because you give more kids an opportunity to play for a university they may want to play for, and they may get that opportunity going in 2026. So it's going to be fun to see what Texas does and how they use that board to get gain advantage and add a lot of good depth to the roster.
Justin,
I'm curious on the depth. I'm curious on the depth because right now they're basically dealing with an 85-man roster, which means an 85-man salary cap. Now you're going to add 20 to that. Like that's
but then that's it. There's no more. There's no walk-ons in addition to that.
Right. But they're not paying for those walk-ons, but you're still going to pay a 4-star receiver if he's the 4th or 5th take in your cycle. Are you going to be able to stretch the salary that way? This is going to be fascinating because I think some of these big schools are going to have to go with 3-star guys that have tons of upside, but that aren't sitting there waiting for a check. Because the way they divvy up the money now, that this was already kind of an ordeal, but now that they've sort of got, Sark's been really good at managing that. Now you're going to add 20 more guys to the end of that because every kid that gets that Texas scholarship, you know what their parents think? I wonder what his NIL is going to be. Well, when you amp it up, 20 more scholarships, where somebody's going to have to find the money for all those scholarships anyway, because the NCAA doesn't think of that. Like, I'm curious how that's going to work out. You're obviously going to stay on your elites. The top 10, top 15 kids you have to have in every class in your program. But those last 10 or 15 that come in a cycle, an expanded cycle, you're going to have to look for guys that aren't expecting as much in NIL. They're going to think, I got a Texas offer, but it's not going to be the kind of Texas offer maybe a 5-star gets or maybe a big 4-star gets. And then you could have some hurt feelings. And then you could have other schools using that against them. We've seen schools use their NIL against Texas, even though it's done very well. I think this whole thing is fascinating. I don't know if they have an idea at all of how this is all going to play out. Yeah. I think they're just tentatively sort of, okay, we have, this could be this or that could be that. I was just thinking about this the other night after the thing with Sark. I'm like, where's the extra NIL money going to come? Because these Texas kids love coming to Texas because they love playing for Texas, but also because NIL is a factor here. You're going to have to bump up that salary cap.
Well, the thing that's confusing, I think, to a lot of different people is that you can pay – the number's been thrown around like $22 million or something like that. That comes from the schools. And so then are schools like Texas going to be able to have a third party like Texas One Fund sweeten that pot more than others? I do think, though, Justin, your point about you want that 4th or 5th wide receiver to join your class. He wants number 1 type money. Yeah, you've got that. But then again, he's also the 4th or 5th or 6th wide receiver. Like at a certain point,
we see that. But mom and dad don't see him as the 4th or 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
Correct. But like but they will see him treated that way.
And that makes me think he could go to another school because Tulane may treat him like a number 1 guy. SMU, who's 7-1, they may treat him like a number 1 guy. I think it's going to be fascinating how this all plays out.
Sure. Right. There is a sense of practicality. Like even now, it's like in NCAA. Oh, I got the playing time pitch. Oh no, it's C-. Yeah. When you've got all true sophomores starting on your offensive line or something like that, they're still going to have to fight that battle. Mm-hmm. And I think what you mentioned is that they're going to have to find various ends that they used to not have to do. They're going to have to, when we were covering Texas recruiting when it wasn't great, that was when it was always on the message board. Give me the gritty 3-star who wants to be here. Well, that guy's not as good as football. That guy is not as good at football as the 5-star. Yeah. But now there might be practical room for those types of guys who may not have gotten a scholarship, may have been walk-on, but now in this new world, you can add them and get them there.
Can you imagine what the portal is going to look like in that first go-around? They're 2,000, 3,000 is going to go to probably 7,000, 8,000.
Yeah.
Because, at the last minute, Alabama needs a 7th receiver, and you're the starting receiver, going to Ball State. No NIL, but you could be the 7th guy at Alabama. We'll give you'll get gear. That's all we can promise you. Got to get gear. Man, it's going to be so interesting how these guys maneuver this. And with agents involved, that makes it even worse.
It's also going to be instructive, I feel like, for the carousel, because I'm sure, Coach, you've heard guys who are like good enough to get certain head coaching jobs weight because it's like this NIL guarantee and this type of support that we need isn't there.
Exactly. That weighs in a lot of factors as well. I think we saw somebody run away from the team north of the Red River for something like that. So, I mean, it plays a factor because you got to be able to compete with the elites of the elite when it comes to NIL and money. And a lot of schools just can't do that. And that's going to be tough.
Got a good question here. Will Texas bring more larger running backs in to help the offense? Look, this is a scarcity thing too. Yeah. CJ Baxter's, who can move like they do at 6'2" or 6'1", 215 pounds. They don't grow on trees. Bijan's, who can move like they do. Roschon's, like those guys are not, plentiful.
And they've got a Jarrett Gibson.
We know Sark wants to have a little bit more of a multifaceted running back room than just guys who are 5'11", 200. So, Justin, I feel like they're going to – is that type – better? Maybe it's better put this way. Is that type of running back in the 2026 class now that Texas is
I think Texas has a vision for a thunder and lightning. I really do. I think Sark has that. And 2026 is when I think you will see it. Forney's running back, Javian Osborne, and Sandy Creek, Georgia running back, Amari Latimer, who's more of I believe he's 6 foot, at 205, 210 already right now. Big boy that can go. He was at the Alabama-Tennessee game recently. Look, let me tell you something. That's your bigger back, but it's not necessarily that they need larger running backs. They've already got them, like you said, Joe. CJ Baxter, Jarrett Gibson, they've got dudes there. It just happened that these guys got hurt this season. I don't necessarily think they need larger, but I do know they like kind of that thunder and lightning punch. Look, the quicker Jarrett Gibson picks up the blitz package, the quicker big baby Rhino is going to get more run on the field. That's a 220-pound guy, guys. That you don't want them that much bigger. Like, we're not looking for fullbacks. You're looking for just large running backs. But I think in this scenario, 2026 gives you that ideal situation with a Javian Osborne and with an Amari Latimer. Those are the two guys that kind of give you a yin and yang to what you may be talking about, having one big back and one other one's. When it comes to the portal this offseason, we were talking about it earlier, I think they're going for the best running back available. I don't think they care what size he is. I just think they want the best guys in the backfield. And like you said, CJ Baxter's at that size, at that speed, there's a reason they're 5 stars.
And, looking at James Simon, On3 lists him at 5'11", 197. You can expect maybe a little bit more on him.
Wow, James Simon cannot be 197 right now.
Well, hey, close. You want to hear your jaw drop and something I don't think may be right? Jordan Davison, who committed to Oregon, 5'11", 240 on On3.
Now, he got bigger. He actually added some weight. I don't think he added that much weight. That's H-back size. But if you saw his pictures in the last 3 or 4 months, homeboy got bigger. And I don't know if it's Jarrett Gibson swole bigger either. But I don't know 240, but he definitely looks 210, 220, 225. Davidson's a different looking back now than when he was on campus in Austin, 18 months ago?
Something like that.
He didn't close to that. What was he like, 180, 185 when we saw him?
240.
Not 240. He ain't putting on weight like Taquan Graham, okay?
That's a lot.
The best running back, I feel like. So Harlan Berry's the number 1 running back in the 2025 class. He's a speed.
He's different than everybody else. There's nobody like him.
He's like faster Jaden Blue.
Yes.
Kalen Deere from Mississippi, 6 foot 200. He'll probably get a little bit bigger as well.
He runs like a big kid.
I feel like Texas will look to make sure they get that in the 2026 class, but they may have it in 25 in James Simon, depending on what his frame can do. Guys, we know that during the first bye week, what was that, late September or early October? There we go. Not too long ago, Texas really hit Houston hard in going to see guys drop by North Shore. Believe they dropped by Conroe as well. Saw a lot of the commits. Caleb Chester. I think they made it to Jonah Williams' game, like you mentioned. Where do we expect, Justin, to see a lot of these guys over the course of this bye week when they have a chance to travel, maybe to some different Texas cities?
Yeah, I think they're going to hit DFW this weekend, notably on Friday. That I'm hearing that they're going to try to make a little sweep through there. They've been recruiting that area so well in the last couple cycles. Sark does a real good job. Jeff Banks does too, and it's on the back of Chris Gilbert a lot of times. I think he is the primary when it comes to a lot of those relationship building. Don't be surprised to see some coaches out of state. Don't be surprised to see a few of them maybe in California, and do not be shocked if you see a couple coaches, defensive coaches, hanging out in Georgia. I think that's something that's a possibility as well. I know that Kenny Baker wants to get in front of some of those D linemen that are still on the big board. Those are very important recruitments, and we're talking about them on a regular basis at InsideTexas.com. And so I think it's going to be more spread out. They went H-Town last time. They went H-Town. They tried to hold it down. Now they're going to go up to DFW, do that. And I think they're going to spread out a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised if you see them pop up in Georgia and on the West Coast.
Coach, I think Sark has mentioned this. It's weird. There's some expanded abilities for coaches and analysts to go, but they also have pretty harsh limits on guys they can see. So let's see. Give me 3 high schools, maybe not if you're Sark, but just Texas in general, that the Longhorns definitely need to make a trek through this upcoming weekend.
Oh, man. So that's quite easy for me. I'm always going to stop by Duncanville just because they have so many kids that you can build relationships, 25, 26, and 27. I'm probably going to make a stop in McKinney, Texas, because they have one guy there that you should definitely see. And when you're
his little brothers.
Yeah, you got them as well. You mean my third school? I'm probably going to go out west a little bit and go to North Crowley and visit Fort Worth and go visit Mr. Turntine and that crew over there, because they have a bunch of talented kids as well. So that'll be 3 schools I would go to. You
see Brandon Ford committed to Kansas State yesterday.
Yeah.
That's that tall DB we like out of North Crowley.
A lot of good talent there. And what's that? That's like right on 30, right? I don't know my suburbs in DFW.
North of Fort Worth, I think.
Yeah. So it's on the other side of Burleson. You can take 30.
Okay.
You can take 30 to get that way. Yeah.
I know a couple then.
Yeah,
Justin, or if you're making a swing through, where are you going to see 3 schools in DFW?
Obviously Charlie's nailed all of the big ones, but there's still 3 other schools that that have guys that Texas needs to go see. I'm going to DeSoto. I'm going to go watch I'm going to go check in on a 2027 receiver with his nickname is Booby. I'm going to DeSoto because they also have other dudes every single year. They have a great staff. They do it really well at DeSoto. So I'm going to hit that spot. And then I know you're going to put me on the spot. And then I would probably go
you can expand to East Texas if you want.
Well, yeah, but that one's too easy. That's like shooting fish in a barrel. I'm telling you, I think I think they should go by Melissa, and not just to check in on that big left tackle, Maximus Wright, who looks fantastic in his junior year, first year, really getting to start at Melissa. They got a freshman running back named Jeremiah Tabor that is huge, and he's also an elite baseball prospect. And so, if anything, go look at the stadium, because Melissa's new stadium is ridiculous. And their talent. There's a lot of talent in that region, in that area, that you definitely want to see. Third school, I'm going to Louisville. I'm going to go see Michael Fasusi. I know you're not wavering. I know you're solid to Oklahoma. I know your relationship is solid with Bill Bedenbaugh. But let's talk for a few minutes. Let's talk about your future. Let's talk about a future that's not in Oklahoma. Let's talk about a future that's bright. So I'd probably swing by Louisville, not to mention the coaches there do a great job, and they've got some young talent. I know Coach Charlie's going to be swinging through there soon. They've got some really young guns. They're playing with a lot of sophomores, freshmen and sophomores this year. Louisville's kind of on that bump, and they're trying to get the most out of those guys. So that'll be my 3. I'd say DeSoto, Melissa, and Louisville.
All right, Cedar Hill. Go check in on the triple threat. See how their season's going. See the Coleman brothers, 2 guys who've been longtime commits. I think, what was it, Memorial Day Sunday they committed and have not wavered, not visited anywhere. I think I saw pictures of all 3 at the Georgia game, so want to go show them some love and appreciation. Who's next? You got to go to Saxe. Got to go check in with Khalik Lockett.
Yeah.
If you're making all the different rounds, and if you're in that neck of the woods, I think this is right. Still go check on Lovejoy. Understanding they got some good guys, not just in this class, but going forward.
They got a good program. They got a great program.
Yeah.
And it's always good to be in Todd Dodge's good side, especially when it comes to offensive players. And congrats to him for making the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. And I'll just throw one more in there. Go to Alito. Go check out Caden Finley. Another good pro. I'm picking power. We're all picking powerhouse programs.
That's where the bodies are.
Where the bodies are.
Alito should have been one that Charlie and I mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, you said this. I picked one school in the South, under south of 30. I thought you were going to stop by South Oak Cliff too, but hey, I'll add that one because you got to go that way. So
I was about to stop by Sock. Coach Traylor will not be happy if I don't make a pass by there.
Thunderchild, how serious is Jonah Williams' injury? We spoke about that at the beginning of the episode. He'll be able to do whatever he needs to do in the semester when he enrolls early. So just going to knock him out from the rest of ball season.
No worries, Thunderchild. No worries.
Trying to think of anything else we got to hit up. Let's see, guys. We'll be on the road. What are some of the games, or just maybe some of the Oh, I know what I wanted to talk about. That is Dia Bell. He is continuing to have a big season, living up to his 5-star billing. I know we talked about him last time, but everybody who kind of follows high school recruiting knows about St. Thomas Aquinas down in Florida. It is one of the powerhouse programs. Even if you follow Texas high school football, you know about some teams like Mater Dei and John Bosco and all those different guys. In Florida, you hear about, some of the different Miami schools, Central and Northwest and Washington. You hear about IMG, and then you hear about STA, St. Thomas Aquinas. And Dia Bell, coach, just kind of continues to show why he's a 5-star and helped American Heritage to its first win, I think, over St. Thomas Aquinas, maybe ever, if not in some time.
Yeah, I got to watch, see some of the highlights on Twitter, and I was able to retweet some and post some on our board. But man, he was dropping dimes. And then the one play he took off on, I want to say 62 yards. It's like, he turned on the Jets. And I was like, okay, he's a total package. He can throw, and he's not afraid to tuck the ball and run. So he's having a fantastic season, man. And I think you see why Sark, went after him. And even though he's like 2 years ago, he's the guy, right? And so I think he's going to continue to build. And who knows, man? He might be that number one. He might get that number one ranking coming out of high school because he's playing like it right now.
Yeah.
It's also good that for Texas, of course, that he made it for the Georgia game, not just with his little brother. We got a good picture of him on the sidelines at the Georgia game, but also with dad, with Raja. And as we know, building all these different relationships is so important in recruiting. It's what all these guys emphasize in order to make sure, saying no is very, very difficult. Looking real quick at KJ Lacey's stats as well. I think he may have missed a little bit of time because there's a jump in weeks from like September 13th to October 11th. But he is back. He's got a 61% completion percentage, 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And guys, one thing I think is really notable, Ryan Williams isn't on that team. And he's still doing that. Go ahead. Hold on. You're going in and out deep, or is it me?
No. Yeah, he went in and out. I can now.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Say that again, because I don't know if it went through or not, but
what I can't even what did you know that Ryan Williams is 17 years old?
Oh, that's true. But what do you think it says about Lacey without Ryan Williams?
That was the joke. Look, that was our biggest question. You're losing your main guy who accounted for 70% of your passing the last season, and we thought, man, KJ is going to take a bump. He's going to take a setback with this just because of the roster. He hasn't. His game has actually improved. He's a confident dude. That's what I like about KJ. He doesn't worry about Dia Bell coming in behind him. He doesn't worry about a Trey Owens or Arch Manning ahead of him. He just does his thing. I think that's why Sark loves that confidence, and Milwee especially. But yeah, losing Ryan Williams, you know what, if I and I'm sure they're good. I know they're good friends, and he's thinking, man, Ryan's at Alabama, and he's doing it big, and he's happy. But you know what was that conversation like before he left the last time Ryan left? Oh, wait a minute. What do you mean you're not coming for your summer workouts? Come on, man. This is our senior year. What do you mean you're enrolling in college? We're just about to make a run at state in our senior year together. What do you do? I can't imagine that conversation. I would have gotten super, super jealous, super, super selfish. Like, man, what do you think you're doing? But the truth is, KJ has actually, I think this has challenged him more, and he stepped up to it.
I think so too, and overcame missing time for some reason or
a little bit earlier in the year, yeah,
one reason or another. But it's back out there, and you know, Saraland and all the Alabama schools, it's called Super 7. There's 7 classifications. They alternate between playing at Bryant-Denny and Jordan-Hare every year. I think it was at Bryant-Denny this past year. They made it there and lost in the finals. I think Lacey and Saraland are trying to get all the way up to back to Auburn again to play football in the stadium for Saraland for heading to Texas.
And I don't think we have to worry about Auburn pushing for KJ Lacey anymore. With the flip of Deuce Knight, I think you can put those there weren't really worries, but you can put those to bed.
And they need a portal guy. I don't think unless Hugh Freeze wants to put
about Auburn.
Yeah.
Portal men, not guy. You need plural.
Throw a lot.
Somebody's got to be there to scrape the first quarterback off the ground from under the bus. Then somebody's got to be there to hold the shovel for the other guy that's going to be scraping the next guy off the bottom of the bus. What is Deuce not doing, brother? Go to Notre Dame. They're running back. Look, have you seen their young running backs? It's not just one. There's like 3 young running backs that are just running like crazy. It looked like Texas A&M running on Saturday night in the second half.
You know what one of my favorite stats right now is, and I think if y'all saw this, Brian Harsin, he's still kind of active on Twitter, and he posted a picture of like his Texas coffee mug. Brian Harsin was fired at Auburn after going 9-12. Hugh Freeze is 9-12.
Yikes.
Think of the money. Think of the money that they had to maneuver to get 9-12 again. I mean, really, they spent a lot of money to go right back where they were. That's kind of similar to what happened with Kevin Sumlin and Jimbo Fisher. To get rid of Sumlin, spend all this money to do all this stuff to get the same result. Woo! That's a good stat, Joe.
What I always like to say is Auburn boosters are as crazy as people think Texas boosters are. So
probably Auburn boosters. Auburn wants to beat Alabama as much as Texas A&M wants to beat Texas. They want to be relevant so bad, and you're exactly right.
With that, another good episode of Recruiting Intel. So thank you for watching. Make sure if you're here, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll be bringing it every day, even with the bye week going on. No bye week here. Of course, head to InsideTexas.com. Sign up. The link is in the description. Thank you to Game Time. Remember, on 3 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And we'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.